There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes he gave too much time, too much effort, too much of himself, all for someone who never truly saw his worth. And in that hollow silence, after the texts stop coming and her interest fades, a deeper truth hits, harder than heartbreak. It wasn't that she didn't want him, it's that he forgot to want himself. We've all been there, checking our phones too often, rearranging our days just to be available, holding onto the hope that effort equals love. But here's the Stoic truth: love built on neediness isn't love, it's dependency. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who's forgotten his own value. There's a quiet danger in being too available. You don't feel it at first. It starts with good intentions. Replying quickly, rearranging your schedule, making time whenever she calls. But slowly, silently, something shifts. She stops wondering what you're doing, stops leaning in, stops trying. Why? Because predictability isn't comforting, it's boring. When someone can sense every move you'll make, there's no spark left to chase. You might think you're showing love, but from her side, it feels more like neediness in disguise. You're always there, always reachable, always saying yes. And that predictability, it's the fastest way to become forgettable. Attraction isn't born in certainty. It lives in curiosity. She's not daydreaming about the guy who double texts and apologizes for being too eager. She's imagining the man she can't quite pin down, the one who moves with quiet purpose, whose attention is earned, not expected. The hard truth is, men lose their value not by being cruel, but by being too kind at the wrong time. By giving everything, they leave nothing to chase. You become the comfort blanket instead of the fire. And women don't chase blankets, they chase mystery. They chase men who have something bigger going on, men who don't make themselves available to everyone because they're already busy becoming someone. You know the pattern: the guy who cancels his workout because she's suddenly free, the one who leaves his friends hanging to answer a vague late-night "you up?", the man who keeps his weekends open just in case she calls. He thinks he's being generous, but what he's really doing is erasing himself, one compromise at a time. And once she realizes he's willing to bend, she stops seeing the strength that first drew her in. Now, pause. Imagine a bonfire in a dark forest. If you pour water on it every time the wind picks up, trying to protect it, eventually it dies. But if you shield it with intention, feed it slowly, protect it wisely, it grows stronger. So ask yourself, are you protecting your fire or smothering it? Reclaiming your time isn't about playing games, it's about self-respect. A man who doesn't value his own hours, his own peace, his own path, will never be truly valued by someone else. If you're always the one initiating, always the one waiting, always the one rearranging your life to accommodate hers, you're teaching her that her world matters more than yours. And when that imbalance sets in, attraction quietly fades. Look around. In today's dating culture, there are countless men lined up to please, to prove, to offer up everything, just for a few breadcrumbs of attention. But here's the unfiltered truth. Women don't respect the men who try too hard. They respect the ones who live with direction, the ones who aren't afraid to say, "No, I'm booked," and mean it. Not to be cold, but because they're already full. And when you move like that, when you stop dropping everything and start honoring your own schedule, something shifts. She starts to notice. She starts to chase. Because now, you're not just another guy willing to orbit her, you're a planet of your own, with your own gravity. And that gravity is magnetic. Now ask yourself, are you teaching her to value your time or to assume it's always hers? There's another trap men fall into, and it's even more dangerous: giving without receiving. Maybe you're texting her every morning, checking in throughout the day, planning thoughtful dates, sending playlists, making space. But what are you getting back? If her effort feels lukewarm, inconsistent, or worse, non-existent, then brother, you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. And she's not even clapping. But here's the kicker, it's not entirely her fault. It's yours. Because you taught her she could give less and still keep you around. You showed her that scraps were enough. And once she knows that, she's not going to wake up one day and start offering you a feast. She'll keep giving crumbs, because that's all you ever required. This is the part most men don't want to admit. Women are masters of effort management. They know exactly how much energy to give to keep a man interested, but not committed. And if you're not the one she prioritizes, then guess what? She's giving that real effort to someone else, someone who actually demands it. It's not that she's too busy, it's that she's busy for someone else. So what do? You pull back, not to punish her, not to manipulate, but to recenter yourself. When she gives less, you don't give more. You don't chase. You don't cling. You let her feel your absence. And in that space, you learn who she really is and who you are without her. Remember, you can't inspire desire by overextending yourself. You inspire it by being scarce, valuable, and grounded. If she doesn't meet you halfway, don't meet her at all. The moment you stop rewarding low effort, she either levels up or leaves. And either outcome sets you free. Here's something you won't hear from most people. Rejection is a gift. She didn't text back? Good. She ghosted you? Even better. She canceled plans last minute, said she's not ready? Perfect. That's not a failure, that's a filter. And it's saving you time you could have wasted chasing someone who never saw your value. You might be thinking, but I really liked her. I know, that part hurts. But the truth is, she was never really yours. If she couldn't see what you bring to the table, then she wasn't meant to sit at it. Rejection isn't a sign that you're not enough. It's a signal to grow, to refine, to become more, because that's what Stoicism teaches us. Don't react emotionally to setbacks. Observe them, learn, level up. Every no is a step closer to the right yes. Every woman who walks away is making space for one who'll walk toward you. So don't beg for closure, don't spiral, don't send that one last text. Instead, thank her, silently or out loud. Thank her for not wasting any more of your time. Thank her for giving you clarity, and then turn that pain into fuel. Build your body, sharpen your mind, refine your purpose, because success in the end is the sweetest form of closure. Now picture this, a man standing still in the center of a storm. The world around him is chaos. The wind howls, trees bend, emotions fly, but he remains unmoved, calm, grounded. That's what it means to become her emotional anchor. That kind of man, the one who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't break under emotional pressure, isn't born that way. He's forged through trials, through heartbreak, through the long, silent nights when he almost texted her and didn't. Through every moment, he chose discipline over impulse, stillness over chaos, purpose over pain. He becomes the anchor by refusing to be the storm. You see, most men react. They get pulled into her moods, her hot and cold attention, the endless guessing game of what does this mean? But the Stoic man, he doesn't play that game. He knows emotions are waves, and he's not here to drown in them. He feels the pull, sure, but instead of chasing answers, he returns to himself. He breathes deeper. He trains harder. He remembers who he is. That's the moment everything changes, because she begins to sense something she didn't before, your absence, not just your physical presence, but your emotional availability. The space you once filled with constant reassurance, texts, and emotional labor is now silent. And in that silence, you stop being predictable and start becoming powerful. It's like a fire that suddenly pulls back its heat. She reaches closer, trying to feel what's no longer handed to her. She wonders where you went, And for the first time, she realizes she doesn't have access to you on demand. That discomfort, that confusion, it's the beginning of respect. Let's reframe this. Imagine a lion in the wild. He doesn't roar for attention. He doesn't beg to be noticed. He walks with purpose, not desperation. And every creature in the jungle senses his presence, even in silence. That's the energy you must carry. You don't have to make noise to be remembered. You just have to know your worth and move accordingly. But here's the catch. This power isn't about control. It's not about making her chase for the sake of your ego. It's about restoring balance. Because when you're always the one giving, always the one adjusting, you lose your center, you lose your edge. And a man who loses his edge slowly becomes invisible. A Stoic man understands that the greatest act of love is presence, not performance. It's not texting her 20 times a day. It's showing up with grounded energy when you're together, and then letting her wonder about you when you're not. Let her miss you. Let her sit in the unknown for a while. That space creates tension, and tension creates attraction. But don't just sit in silence to manipulate. Fill that space with something real. Pour your energy back into yourself. Wake up earlier, train harder, read, build, heal. When you stop pouring yourself into someone who hasn't earned it, you reclaim all that power. And with that power, you rebuild your foundation. Now here's the deeper truth. The more whole you become, the less you chase. Because you realize you don't need someone to complete you. You need someone who complements the man you've already become. And most importantly, you won't tolerate being anyone's backup plan, emotional sponge, or placeholder. Let me ask you something. If she disappeared tomorrow, who would you become in the silence? Some men crumble. They spiral, they call, they beg, they fall apart. But the Stoic man uses that silence as a mirror. He stares into it, not to find her, but to find himself. He doesn't fill the void with distractions. He fills it with discipline. That's when the transformation begins. He deletes her number. He removes her from socials. He sets a 90-day no-contact rule, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. But more importantly, he fills that space. He joins a local gym at 5 a.m. He starts learning Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He picks up a new trade on weekends. He starts building a life she's no longer the center of. At first, it feels like punishment. The silence is sharp. The mornings feel heavy. The workouts feel forced. But slowly, things begin to shift. He looks in the mirror and sees someone he barely recognizes, but someone he deeply respects. The man who once waited around for her text now walks with his shoulders back and eyes clear. The boy who once obsessed over how she felt is gone. In his place stands a man who controls what he can and releases what he can't. She'll feel that change, too. Energy doesn't lie. She may not understand it, but she'll sense it. That pull she once had over you, gone. That attention she took for granted, reclaimed. And whether she texts again or not becomes irrelevant, because by then you've already moved forward. Here's the thing about Stoicism most people miss. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally sovereign. It's not that you don't feel. It's that you don't get owned by what you feel. You let it pass through. You observe it. You let it teach you. And then you return to center. Think of it like standing in front of a storm. You don't stop the rain. You just choose not to be swept away. Now you've become the kind of man who doesn't just get attention. He commands it. Not with force, but with presence. You're no longer reacting to her breadcrumbs. You're building your own bakery. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You've chosen yourself. And that, ironically, is when she starts to chase. But here's the twist. By then, you may not even want her back. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You've outgrown the version of yourself that once needed her validation. You see through the illusion now. The pedestal you put her on, she didn't climb it. You built it. And now, you've taken it apart, brick by brick. What you seek now isn't just love. It's alignment. It's energy that matches yours. It's a woman who respects your time, matches your effort, and adds peace, not confusion, to your life. And until you find that, you remain whole, you remain focused, you remain free, because the man who has mastered solitude is the one who will never settle again. Rejection. That word alone makes most men flinch. It cuts deep, especially when you've opened yourself up, made the effort, let your guard down, and she cancels, ghosts, or simply pulls away. But here's a truth you must engrave into your mind. Rejection isn't your enemy. It's your liberation. When she ignores your message or backs out of a date last minute, it feels personal, like she saw you and decided you weren't enough. But that's not what's happening. Most of the time, it's not about you at all. She's chasing something or someone who fits the fantasy in her head at that exact moment. You may be a king, but if she's looking for a clown, she won't recognize your crown. And that's not your burden to carry. This is where Stoicism kicks in like a sharp breath of winter air. You don't spiral, you don't beg for answers, you sit with the discomfort and you study it. Rejection, when embraced, becomes feedback. It exposes your patterns. Were you too eager, too available? Did you give too much too soon? Let it teach you, but never let it define you. And remember, every time a woman rejects you, she clears your path. She saves you time. She reveals she wasn't meant to walk beside you. And for that, you should thank her. Because clarity is power, and nothing builds inner strength like standing alone and still choosing to rise. Pause and ask yourself, when was the last time rejection made you better instead of bitter? The men who rise aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who alchemize it. They take the sting, the silence, the "I'm not ready," and they use it as fuel. They level up, they sharpen their edge. They become more focused, more composed, more dangerous in the best possible way. Rejection doesn't mean you're not valuable. It means she didn't see it. And maybe she wasn't supposed to. Some women are meant to trigger the next phase of your evolution, not be part of it. And once you realize that, you stop chasing closure, you become it. But that growth leads you to a powerful shift. You stop trying to convince women of your worth, and you start making them prove theirs. Because now you have standards, you have emotional clarity, you have strength forged through loss and solitude. And when you show up with that kind of presence, everything changes. She'll test you though, not necessarily to hurt you, but to see if you're real. She'll stir the pot emotionally, say something sharp, withdraw affection, just to see what happens next. Will you chase? Will you fold? Will you try to fix what's not broken? But if you're truly anchored, you don't flinch. You don't rush in to mend her mood, you stay grounded. That silence, your silence, is louder than any explanation. Because while she's feeling the chaos of her own emotional tide, you're the shore she keeps returning to. Calm, solid, unmoving. Most men try to match her energy. She gets angry, they get angrier. She pulls away, they chase. It becomes a dance of insecurity, and she always leads. But when you become the man who doesn't react, who simply observes, adjusts, and maintains his center, you flip the script. You stop being an option and start becoming an anchor. It's in that calm presence, that grounded stillness, that she feels safe. And that's what makes you irreplaceable, because every other guy is riding emotional highs and lows, chasing validation, fighting for control, but not you. You've already won the battle within. And that's what she truly desires, not just attention, but emotional safety. Now here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. Women don't value what they get too easily. It's not because they're shallow, it's biology, human psychology. Scarcity creates value. If you're always around, always texting back instantly, always available the moment she snaps her fingers, what are you telling her? That your time is worthless, that you have nothing more pressing in your life. And if you don't value your time, why should she? Let's be honest. The men she chases aren't the ones who orbit her. They're the ones she can't quite figure out, the ones who seem fulfilled without her, the ones who are building something bigger than romance, and she wants to be part of that world, not be the center of it. So stop making yourself easy, stop making yourself predictable. You're not a vending machine of affection, you're a man with a life, a schedule, a purpose, and she needs to earn her place in that life, just like you earn your place in hers. Ever wonder why she pulled back just when things were going well? It wasn't random, it was a test to see if your world crumbles without her. Don't let it. Let her feel the absence. Let her notice the silence. Let her realize that your attention is earned, not owed. The most attractive energy in the world is a man who could be anywhere, with anyone, but chooses himself first. He chooses peace. He chooses purpose. And only then does he choose love. You might be tempted to reach out, to fix things, to check in. Don't. Let her feel the void she created. If she values you, she'll return. And if she doesn't, she was never really yours to begin with. That's not cruelty, that's clarity, that's strength. You don't need to manipulate her emotions. You don't need to play mind games. You just need to master your own. When you do, you'll find yourself surrounded not by chaos, but by peace. Not by women who drain you, but by those who elevate you. Not by fleeting attention, but by deep connection. That's what the Stoic path is about. Emotional sovereignty, inner power, a life led with intention. And in that life, love is no longer your goal. It becomes a byproduct, something that naturally gravitates toward the man who needs nothing and offers everything from a place of strength. So when she pulls away, when she tests, when she disappears, don't panic, don't chase. Stand still, watch, breathe, remember who you are, and let your silence speak louder than your words. Because in the end, the man who values his time, who commands respect through his calm, who lives by the Stoic code of presence, purpose, and power, becomes unforgettable, ready to take back your time, your power, and your peace. If this message hits something deep inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe now to Stoic Leadership Insights and turn philosophy into real-world strength. New videos weekly on Stoic wisdom, emotional control, and becoming the man you were meant to be. Drop a comment below. What's one boundary you're ready to set starting today? Like this video to spread the mindset. Share it with a brother who needs to hear this. Because real strength isn't loud. It's calm, it's quiet, it's stoic, and it starts now with you.